Hi guys, and gals, Body. Today we're gonna talk about an underrated body part when it comes to training, the calves. Now I've got a video on the calf training in my channel already, but because a lot of people were struggling to train the calf properly, I thought I might put out this video as well. Some of the subjects are gonna be the same, but the exercise is not gonna be the same. You see, when it comes to the training, when it comes to the calf generally has 7 muscles, all the way from your knee to your Achilles tendon and your hip. But the thing is, the way you position yourself is going to affect a lot of things. Now, of course, there is no total isolation, but the main muscles that we're going to train when we train the calf, and the muscles that we aim to train because they are really bigger and they are the main muscles when it comes to the calf, are gastrocnemius and soleus. So the past video that I had was mostly about training the gastrocnemius, but just as a summary, you see the 2 main muscles that we mentioned, one of them comes from here, the gastrocnemius, a little bit higher than the knee, and goes all the way to the Achilles tendon. The other one, but it's not here, comes a little bit lower to the one fibula, this one here, and also touches a little bit to the tibia as well, and goes all the way to the Achilles tendon. But just to give you the function, they both help to do plantarflexion, which is just pushing the toe down and bringing the heel up. But that's the work that they both do. How much you use each muscle depends on the angle that your knee has. The more straight your leg is, the more you're gonna use the gastrocs. And the more flexion you have here, so if the knee is bent, because as we said, the gastrocnemius comes all the way and goes inside, it's not able to do the act, because if it wants to just get contracted, it's just got some restrictions because it's just curving. So because of that, in this way, we're gonna use a lot more soleus. And just keep in mind, the gastrocnemius is the 2-part muscle that we usually see in people, and it's the most superficial one. So on top we've got gastrocnemius, a little bit lower we've got the soleus. So if you want to train to just get some superficial look and just get that you see curvature on your calf, it's mostly better to train with straight legs. And if you want to just have an overall development and especially have a thicker lower part as well, so not just this, here as well, it's best to train in a bent knee position. But of course we've got to train both of them, but today we're just talking about the soleus. So just keep that in mind. We've got 2 main muscles. When you bend the knee, you're gonna just kind of mute or just deactivate the gastrocnemius, the superficial one, so you go a little bit deeper. It really is good to train the soleus, and the reason is, it is believed that the soleus muscle is 80% slow twitch muscle fiber. The slow twitch muscle fiber is the muscle fiber that's responsible for endurance training. So when you walk, when you run, for example, for 1 hour or 2, you're using a lot more soleus. And when you do heavy lifting, for example, 10 repetition of calf raises with a straight leg, especially, you're using a lot more gastrocs. So the gastrocs are already stronger. When you train the soleus in a low rep, so for example like 15 reps lower, you're training this muscle in a new way, and you are just challenging it in a new way. And the opposite is also the same. When you're training the gastrocnemius, for example, for high repetitions like 20, 30, you feel it's just burning a lot more when you're like this comparing, for example, to some biceps or things like that. And the reason is gastrocs are normally stronger. The muscle fiber is just built in a way that you're generally more stronger. By the way, let's mention some disclaimer as well. It's just the research. It's not 100% sure, and a lot of people also believe you should do the opposite. So if a muscle is more slow twitch muscle fiber, to grow it more, you have to work, for example, in endurance. So the opposite of what I already said. So because the research is not through and it still has a lot more room for improvement, so just try it out from time to time. It's the best thing that we possibly have at the right time, at the current time. So make sure you do them both endurance and strength. So bent knee, straight leg, endurance and power both. But that's just the way you train. How you position yourself, and especially the safety of the exercise, is what matters the most. You see, when the leg is straight, you've got some limitation with your foot positioning. You see, this is called inversion, this is called eversion of the leg. So if you see, this is eversion, inversion. When you do this with a straight leg, most of the time people do it by mistake, by internally and externally rotating the leg. So as you can see, again, when the leg is straight, if I just turn the feet a little bit inside, it's called inversion. And when I just point the toes out without turning the knee, it's eversion. But the majority of people do this instead. So they are rotating from here, not the ankle. Of course, it's really limited, just maybe 1 centimeter or so, and it really is hard. So make sure, just as I said on the other video, make sure when you're training the gastrocnemius and you've got a straight leg, you do not change the position of the foot and just toes aligned with the knee. But that can be changed just a little bit when it comes to your knees being bent. You see, when I'm in this position, I can have a little bit more room to do this. I'm not internally or externally rotating. I have more room to do this. And generally, the more internal, the more inversion I have, the more I'm gonna use the medial part or the middle part of my, the part that's closest to my center of body. And the more eversion I have, the more I'm gonna use this. But keep in mind, if you do this too much, so everybody has a degree of flexibility. If you're just not comfortable and you just bring it too much, you're gonna cause ankle issues. So if this is neutral, just like 1 inch from each side is gonna be the best. So of course it changes from time to time. And again, this is good when the knee is bent. So if the knee is straight, it's really hard to do this, and it's just going to be really bad for the ankle, because most of the time people are going to just internally and externally rotate. Not that there is a problem with this, it's just there is no difference in the calf training when the knee is moving as well as the toes. There is nothing happening in here, you're just changing the degree from here. But when it's up, because the popliteus, one of the small muscles, one of the 7 muscles that we talked about in here, is unlocked. So because of that, we have more room to do inversion and eversion. But anyway, let's get to the training that we have. A lot of the gyms have some kind of a seat that you do this exercise, the plantarflexion, with them. But if you do not have that machine in your gym, you can be creative. And believe it or not, I like this exercise a lot more. First reason is the machines are usually really heavy. I've seen some machines that I didn't even add any weight and they were still heavy. And second of all, because it's just a lot of metal. The second of all, you cannot isolate just one leg and see if it's strong. The majority of them are both legs at the same time. So you're just grabbing something and just doing this. Again, it comes to how heavy it is. Even if you do it with one leg and if the device is good for you to just use one leg, so there's no restriction on it, still it's going to be really heavy. So what I do is I just find something like this. So as you see, it's got a curve in here, so I can put my foot. But if you do not have this, you can just use a plate. But it's better if you use this because it's gonna be a little bit better, so you can just slowly and gradually bring the foot down and up. But with a plate, it's just the majority of your feet is off the ground and it's just one side of your feet, and it's not gonna be that much comfortable for your leg, especially if you go a little bit heavy. But again, your choice. If it's a little bit hard for you and you're just beginning, it's also okay to do it just on the ground. So, but you're not gonna get a lot of stretch, especially if you've got Achilles problems and you've got a lot of tightness here. Do not bring it too much so you stretch it a lot. Just make sure the stretch part of this exercise is comfortable. Although the Achilles tendon is the most powerful tendon in your body, still you do not want to overstress it. Just because this is strong, it doesn't mean that it can just endure everything. It is strong, but you're putting a lot more weight on this compared to, for example, bicep. So make sure that you really take care of it. All you need to do is just bring some weight in here and do the act. The same thing like the device. Now, preferably, if you've got something like this in your gym, it's gonna be easy for you, so you can just make sure it's not falling from any side. Put the middle part of it on your knee, go down, up. Again, a little bit of inversion and eversion is alright. So down, up. If you do not have this, you can use either a ball, which is going to be a little bit easier, but it might fall from the side, so you need to have your hands, so that can help you make it a little bit easier. But anyway, if it's comfortable, good. Or you can use something like this. It's going to be a little bit tougher, but still, that's a good choice. If you did not have any of them, just use a dumbbell. So if you have these, first start with this, then this, then this, and then this. If you did not have a dumbbell as well, you can use also a plate, but a plate is going to be a little bit harder because the surface is going to be bigger. So there's no point to put the weight in here because it's just a lot of pressure on the fibula, and it's just the femur bone, and it's just pushing it down. It's not good for the knee either. But make sure you bring the weight all the way forward, so it's here, and just all the weight is going to this one. And again, like always, there is a limitation to how much you stretch and how much you contract the muscle. And it's just not about the muscle, it's about other things, especially joints and bones as well. So if I go too much down, a lot of the stretch on the muscle, on the tendon. Also, if you've got any limitation, any bone limitation in front, I'm gonna feel a lot of pain. So do not have too much dorsiflexion, or do not bring the toes too much up. Make sure you control it, go as much as every part, not just back. The front is also comfortable. Also, another thing, when you bring the weight up, also make sure that you do not do this. So bring it up, do not do this. The moment the ankle goes to the side, it's just not comfortable anymore. It's gonna cause a lot of problems in your tarsals, which are the small bones in here, in your ankle. And also, it's just gonna be bad overall for your body and your posture and your ability to balance yourself as well. Just make sure when you come up, all the toes are on the pad, so not like this. So when you do this, my thumb is getting off the pad, so not this, this. But keep in mind, do not force it too much back either. So do not do the exercise in this manner if you just feel any problem. If you've got any problem in the knee, it's not gonna be that much isolation if you just bring it more than 90 degrees higher. It's just gonna leave a lot of pressure on the knee.